In this lesson, we're going to be talking about key signature rules. The last lesson, we kind of introduced the idea of key signature. We're going to go over that again and talk about a couple more rules here. Okay, so key signature is placed at the beginning of the song directly after the clef. So you have the clef, key signature is the very next thing. Now, if you're a treble clef instrument, no matter which clef you play, you're on the right video, but you're going to be on slightly different lines or spaces, but it's going to be the same idea. Okay, so bass clef people, don't let that confuse you. Okay, treble clef people, I'm kind of going more off your worksheet. Okay. All right, the order of sharps is F, C, G, D, A, E, B. We talked about it last lesson. Fat cats go down alleys eating birds. And the order of flats is B, E, A, D, G, C, F, bead, and then greatest common factor. So fat cats go down alleys eating birds, and bead, greatest common factor. Sharps or flats are always placed in order from left to right. So meaning, if you're going to say it's fat cats go down alleys eating birds, you're going to go left to right, just like if you were writing out that sentence. F, C, G, D, A, E, B, and then here B, E, A, D, G, C, F. So if I were to say, tell me the names of the notes of the flats, you wouldn't just randomly start on this one because it's the highest and call it E flat. You would always start here and you would go left to right. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, okay? And then sharps and flats are placed on the highest line or space of that note name, usually. There's a couple little exceptions when you get into the far flats and sharps way down the row. You won't really see those a lot right now, so for the most part, it's going to be the highest. What I mean by that is, if you are, let's say you're a bass clef and you're playing something with an F sharp, or you're a treble clef and you're playing something with an F sharp, that sharp is going to be on the highest possible line, but it still affects any F in the whole song. So it's going to affect your Fs up here, and it's going to affect your Fs down here. Or bass clef, it would affect your F here, and it would affect your F down here below the staff. So they put it on the highest one, and it makes a nice pattern because you're kind of up in this area. But it's good for any any F in the whole song. Or let's say it's B flat, E flat, A flat. It's good for all of them, whether you're talking up here or you're talking about this E down here. Okay? All right. So that's kind of how we get those patterns and how it looks on your paper. Now, you're not going to see, this many flats and sharps probably for a little while, but it's important to kind of get an idea about it. All right. Key signature stays in effect until the end of the song, or until there's a key change. So accidentals that we've talked about are only one measure, but key signatures the whole song or until there's a key change. All notes with that note name are affected, regardless of which octave they appear. We talked about that up here. Octave is just a fancy word for saying if it's the higher C or the lower C. We'll talk about those more later as well. All notes that appear with the note name are affected, regardless of if they're the higher or lower notes, which octave it's in. If a natural appears in a measure, it cancels only that note's flat or sharp, and only for one measure. So what I mean by that is, let's say that you're in this key signature, and you have a D natural kind of in the middle of nowhere, okay? And if you're in bass clef, it would be down here. Okay, so let's say you have a D natural. It's only going to affect the Ds. You're still going to have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. You're just not going to have D sharps. And then it's only good for one measure, okay? So kind of like saying accidentals aren't as powerful as key signature. They only last for a little bit, okay? All right. They're still very powerful. They're still very important, but key signature lasts longer, okay? All right, so let's see. I think we covered all that. Yep. Okay, so let's go through this. So this key signature tells you that all B's, E's, and A's are flat in any octave for the whole song. So that means this is a B flat, okay? This is an A flat. Let's put flat signs before them as reminders, okay? Now, when you're really playing, you shouldn't need to mark them all because the flat sign the key signature tells you, but I want to make sure you understand. This is an E flat, even though it's in the lower octave. So here, we mark the E flat way up here, but look, way down here, it's still going to be an E flat. Okay, same thing for bass clef people. This one right here is still going to be an E flat, okay? All right, and then A flat, B flat, C and D are just regular. You got an E flat here, a D. Now, it says both B's are B naturals because accidentals are good for one measure. So this is a B natural. This one is also going to be a B natural. So it's like an L and a 7. Okay, and then G, A flat, and B flat, because we now go back to the key signature. So this natural is only good for one measure, and in the next measure it goes right back to being a B flat. And it would continue to be a B flat for the rest of the song unless there was another accidental. Okay, this last thing is talking about finding tonic, okay? Tonic is the name of the first note of the scale, and it gives you the key. So we might say we're in the key of F. That means F is the tonic for that song or that scale, okay? When looking at a sharp key, you go up one note from the last sharp to get the name of the key or the tonic. So the last sharp is a C sharp. You go up one note, so it was a space, so you're going to go up to the next line. The tonic is D, okay? Now, when you're looking at a flat key, it's a different rule. The next to last flat gives you the name of the key. So it's actually, I think, even easier because whatever the last flat is, you just go back one, okay? So if there are 4 flats, then you look at the next to last flat right here, and that's an A flat. So that means your tonic is A flat. That's the name of your scale or the name of your key signature, okay? Now, here's another tip that I actually think is, in a lot of ways, not necessarily more helpful to know. This rule is super helpful when you're talking about theory, but just as a musician, it's nice to know. Another tip for finding tonic. Melodies often begin on the tonic note and almost always end on the tonic note. In band music, your part may be different. So like if you're playing French horn, your first note might not be the tonic. But on a single melody line, like if you're playing a line out of a book or a solo, then that trick almost always works. So if you're looking at a song, look at the last note of the song, and that's often going to be your tonic if you haven't had a key signature change or something. And many times the first note of the song will also be that same note, but not always, okay? So that's kind of a more practical way sometimes to find the tonic and to know what the name of the tonic is, but you can also look at your key signature and go up a step if it's a sharp or go back one flat if it's a flat. The link to the next lesson in this video series can be found in the description below.